Hey everybody, this is Derek from the DDude2611 channel, and what you're looking at is an update of my new video, or my last video I should say, sorry, about my breeding waxworms. Do have some stuff that happened. I'm going to try to be gentle, so as to not scare any of them. And there's actually a few, 3 right there you can see that haven't pupated yet. And there's a couple more, if you can see in the very bottom of that block over there, you can see one sticking out. But those are the ones that have not bred yet. I mean, haven't cocooned yet. I've been keeping them in mostly dark conditions, other than when I have the light on, like now. But relatively dark, I would say a good 80 to 90% of the time. So they're definitely still going. And there is if you can see, that dark brown kind of in the center of the screen right now, the closest one. That's actually what a cocoon or a pupa looks like when after they leave the worm stage and before they become moths, they pupate, which is basically they form a hard shell. And it actually is a hard shell. Everybody's used to waxworms being very soft and everything, very squishy. But they form a hard shell to protect themselves during the pupation stage so they can properly develop into a moth. So that's basically that. And then, one thing you guys didn't see, I'm not sure if I showed you pupa, if I even had any pupa the last update, but we've actually had sorry about that, and I apologize to my neighbors if anybody just heard that. But this is an adult wax moth. This is a greater wax moth. I'm honestly not sure about the gender or the sex of it. I don't think I use those two terms, how they should be. They shouldn't be really interchangeable, but, I apologize if I'm just a fisherman's ramblings, so don't mean to, if I use a word wrong or in the improper terminology, I don't mean to offend anybody here. As long as you like fishing, doesn't matter what race, religion, ethnicity you are, you're always welcome on my channel. Again, everybody who watches is welcome. Anybody who subscribes is welcome. Heck, even if you don't like my videos and you watch them, everybody's welcome here. I try to make this a friendly and safe environment. And there is, you can see the eye, and it's got an arc almost at the bottom of its wings. And I know that's one way that you can sex these moths, or I use it properly, is by the margins on the end of their wings. As you can see, it's pretty drab, pretty, not real colorful at all. I mean, it's literally just a gray moth. So, I mean, some moths, can be very actually colorful, even rivaling butterflies, which a lot of people don't know. But these moths are your typical, if you had a moth, or you had a picture in your mind of what a moth, or what you think a moth should look like, these guys would be. Get a better side view again. Not sure if I'm in focus too well. There you go. That's what they look like. And they actually, according to scientists, the greater wax moths actually have the best hearing of any animal on the planet. And I'm not sure, I don't think you can see right here, but it actually has little antenna. I mean, they're extremely hard to see, but they actually vibrate back and forth at different times. So I'm almost wondering if that's some kind of sensory organ, or they're, part of their, you can see he's moving a proboscis or something there, even though their wax moths don't really eat when they're alive. They basically just live, breed, and then die. They don't really do anything else. And here, at the bottom, not sure if you can see that or not, I actually have another one. That's a newly hatched one. I think one of its wings might be messed up, but I put him on the block, which is just basically a little cardboard breeder block, which replicates the inside of a bee colony, which is, where they got their names Beemoths from. There's a closer view of the rear end of that one sticking out. There's a couple in here, actually at least 4, just from what I just counted just now, that haven't even pupated yet. And then I got several pupa in here. I had 3 moths hatch. 2 of them lived for, about a good week, and then they died, and then a third one must have died shortly after hatching. Then I got that lovely fellow and that lovely fellow, so here's hoping that they reproduce, knock on wood, and hopefully we'll get some good babies. That's food. That's just the ground up mixture on the bottom. You can see the pupa to the left, and then the adult waxworm on the right hand side, and then you can see the other 2 I have. So this is kind of an ongoing project. The cycle, it's definitely not an immediate cycle. It's not something you can just put in the garage, unfortunately, and wake up the next morning and have 1,000 waxworms in here. It is a cycle, and believe it or not, the summer period is the best time to do this. 100% is the best time, because you can, it actually goes faster with heat. The heat promotes them to go through their life cycle faster. Adult waxworms typically need to be stored. I mean, I store them in the fridge, and I actually, maybe my fridge is warmer than most people's fridge, I don't know. The drinks taste cold, but, a lot of the fridge and stuff, that people keep them in are not necessarily the best environments. They live in beehives, they're used to warm temperatures, but however, too warm will make them pupate, which is exactly why you want it to be warm when you're raising them, because they'll pupate faster, thus turning into moths faster, thus laying eggs faster, mating and then laying eggs. And then also the babies they move fast. These guys are old, they're probably very close to pupating, so they're not moving fast even in the heat. But you see the smaller ones and the medium-sized ones, they move, anybody who's been fishing with bee moths on a hot day in one of those little plastic containers, that if they leave them out in the sunlight, they're all trying to escape the container. That's how active these guys are. They can actually chew through plastic. That's the thing. Another thing, a recent science topic that's been discovered, is waxworms can actually, there's a study, they're actually eating grocery bags, plastic grocery bags. Again, like I said in the last video, these guys are not good for beehives. If you do raise them, you can see I got a sealed container. The moths will die before the worms ever reach a harvestable size, so you really don't have to mess around too much, taking the cover on and off, unless you want to remove some dead ones. But if you do it in a garage, do it indoors, do it somewhere where these moths can find the local beehive and raid it. That's the thing, a lot of people, don't discuss with these videos, but I try to, like I said, I try to be a friendly channel, and I want to give you guys all the info, the pros and cons of raising all this stuff, or even in my fishing techniques, I want to give you guys a good background info on how to do this stuff, some fish catching action. I just don't want to, you know, say, hey, this is what I do, blah, 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 and then leave it out like that. You know what I mean? And, you know, these guys hopefully will produce me some good bluegill bait. I've heard once they reproduce, they are extremely difficult to find use for. I mean, they'll literally produce thousands, hundreds if not thousands in most cases. I mean, I added 100 waxworms in here. They actually come. Some places you buy the kit from come with waxworms. The company I bought the waxworms from, or I should say the kit from for the waxworms, they actually raise them themselves using these kits, as far as I know. And they actually gave me about 100 of them to start out breeding. And that's, you know, the remainder of those guys that you can see down there. And then a couple of the moths that have hatched, and there's a couple more inside the breeding block, which is where these moths will lay their eggs, or they might lay their eggs in the substrate. Kind of depends. Red seal around the cover, red rubber seal. You need to stretch it out before you try to put it on the container. Otherwise, it's a struggle getting it on. But that's basically the waxworms. I mean, they're microscopic when they hatch, so, you know, and apparently they do climb. You know, even though you may not see it all the time, if you look at the bottom of a Beemoth or a waxworm, I call them Beemoths most of the time, but they actually do have little feet on there, you know, because they're actually caterpillars. They're not maggots, you know, like mousies or like spikes are, that are also, you know, I'd say the top 3 grub style baits are waxworms, spikes, and mousies. But unlike the other 2, waxworms or bee moths aren't fly larvae, they're actually moth larvae. They're not bee larvae like some people say. They are the larvae of these interesting little critters right here. The greater and the lesser wax moths. I believe these are all greater wax moths because that's what they're a little bigger from what I've read on. I haven't done a ton of research on the different types, but there's basically 2 main subspecies, or not even subspecies, species. The greater, which is the bigger one, which most bait shops sell, and then the lesser wax moth, which is a smaller worm. But I haven't, as far as I know, seen one in person, so I couldn't give a size comparison. But most of you who fish know that mousy, you know, that's commonly used for ice fishing with its tail, it's about the same length as a waxworm, you know. And spikes are going to be the smallest ones because they're fly maggots from blowflies or blue bottle flies are different, you know, and they're actually raised commercially. They grind up turkey carcasses and rotten fish, and that's what the maggots actually eat. There's actually some factory farms out there that just produce, I mean, a ton of the maggots, you know, because they go through so many of them, you know, especially during ice fishing season in the northern part of the country and in Canada, that, you know, I mean, it's just easier to mass produce them, if you will. So I'm about 3.5, maybe 4 weeks into the 6 or 7 week cycle. Have had some moths hatches. You can't really tell if they lay eggs or not. Like I said, the eggs and the waxworms are really microscopic, so it's basically just waiting. You'll see them, you know, usually down here, you know, moving around, and then as they get bigger, they'll just, you know, obviously start looking more like that, but that takes a while. That's why I have this food in here for them. It's basically ground up beeswax. It has a honey smell to it, you know, almost like a bran cereal type combination. It's actually pretty sticky, you know. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's a pretty sticky mixture. And there's my 2 moths just chilling out, the 2 alive ones that I've had out of the 4 or 5 I've had hatched so far. So I would say it's a good experience, and if you're looking to raise some bait, and I pan fish a lot. I have some ponds around me, you know, that I fish, and I also fish, you know, a lot of public water, you know, Lake Michigan, which I really don't use wax moths or Beemoths on, but I fish, a lot of public lakes for bluegill and crappie, and I do really well, even on crappie with the Beemoths. When I try to use them on Lake Michigan for perch, all I get are the small perch. The big perch typically want either minnows, especially if they're like baby roaches or, bigger shiners. The jumbos will actually take a bigger bait like that. But the smaller perch, they love, I've even tried mousies on Lake Michigan, and just a small perch just annihilate those things before the big ones can even get to it. So, this is Derek from the DDude2611 channel. It's been crazy times, people. But please, and I mean this sincerely, whether you've been on this channel since day one, whether you've watched any of my videos before or not, whether you even know who I am or not, whatever race, religion, ethnicity, political ideology you have, you guys are all important to me, and I just want to make that clear. I don't think that's said clear enough today. We need to start taking care of one another, not literally, taking care of, each other, in the literal sense, but just looking out for one another. If you, need help, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. And, if I or you see somebody who you think might need help, it never hurts to ask. That little question can go a long way, because there's a lot of people out there, myself included at times, that have gone through rough patches, as all of us have as human beings. But sometimes, especially for me, sometimes it's not easy asking for help, because I feel like, people are going to judge me or whatever, or be critical of me. Probably irrational to think that, but that's just kind of my thing, but I tell you what, so I try to look out for other people. And with the COVID-19 stuff, guys, going around, it's actually gotten worse here. I'm in a pretty populated county here, not far from a major U.S. city, only about 45 minutes to an hour away from a major U.S. city. And there's a lot of stuff going around right now, so I just wanted to take the time, not making this political, not making this anything, try to make a statement, but just saying, take care of yourselves, people. Wear protective equipment, masks, if you so choose, unless you're in one of the areas that are now requiring them. But as always, I'm not going to give my opinion on any of that stuff, because I try to be, accommodate everybody, no matter what your beliefs or anything like that. I want this channel to be a friendly and safe place for you guys, because if you're watching this channel, chances are you have an interest in fishing, and if you're watching these last two videos, including this one I made, chances are you're either a pan fisherman, a steelhead fisherman, because these are actually used for steelhead in the winter, or you're a reptile breeder or reptile or aquarium enthusiast. I'm an aquarium enthusiast, not so much, I haven't really gotten into reptiles. Nothing wrong with them. They're cool and all, but I'm more of an aquarium guy. That's my specialty. But, hope this video gives you guys some tips. Look up waxworm kits online. I'm not going to endorse one company over the other, because there are several manufacturers out there. And give it a go. It's just put them in you can put them at room temperature. It takes a lot longer at room temperature. Unless you're, you keep them by the, your utility room, and if you have like a utility room tub or sink or something that you don't use, you can keep them in there. And then when the furnace is running and stuff, it'll heat the room up, which actually is a good bet for the winter, for ice fishing, raising these guys. But in the summer, keep them in the garage. Keep them in the garage. Garages are usually pretty dark most of the time, which is what these moths actually thrive. You can tell they're not really moving around right now. They do not like the light. It doesn't really hurt them, but I would not want to leave them in too much of a prolonged light either. So, hope these tips help you guys. I'll update hopefully as planned. and I hope to start posting more regular videos again. And I'm sorry for my absence, but thank you guys. Have a good night wherever you are in the country, wherever you are in the world. Let's hope that things will get better coming forward. But in the meantime, let's all get together as one and just try to think about what we're thankful for and not take anything for granted, because nothing in this life is ever, just given to us. It can all change in a second. So, not to get dreary or anything, but, it really, times like this make me realize how thankful I am for what I have and for, the family, what my family has. It could easily be very different, as I know a lot of people are unfortunately dealing with, but, I remember the people we've lost and try to not take for granted what we have as human beings. It's more easier said than done, and I'm guilty of it just like anybody. But take care, people. Hope you guys are all safe out there, having a good night. It's raining right here, so no fishing tonight. So, just decided to do an update on this video. Thank you guys. Appreciate all my viewers, the subscribers. If you know anybody who's interested in this stuff, please send them to the DDude2611 channel. And thank you guys. Have a good night. Take care. See you later. Goodbye.